You're about to be reunited with Asia. How exciting is that? How do you feel about that?
It's cool. Like I said, I haven't played with Asia since college, and just seeing her growth from college and the Asia she is now versus the Asia she was in college. I'm so excited to be a part of this side of her and this part of her career.
It's really cool to see teammates who played together in college, which at this point that was 10 years ago now. And then 10 years later,
like I said, I just wanted to be the best at everything that I did when it came to sports, cooking. Like as soon as somebody put something in front of me and I was like, try to win at it, I'm like, bet I'm gonna do anything possible to try to just to be the best at whatever someone thinks that I can't do. So even watching my mom just growing up, kind of like how I was raised, and she was a single parent taking care of my brother and myself. I feel like I had no choice but to work hard, looking at her and seeing how she kind of navigated her own life. So when I took basketball, once I realized I was pretty good at basketball, I was like, all right, well, now let me lock in and actually get better.
This year, make yourself a priority and invest in your health at Powerhouse Pilates. Located in the heart of Lexington, Powerhouse Pilates offers group sessions to help you find your strongest self. Whether you're a pro or new to the practice of Pilates, you're in the right place. Powerhouse Pilates offers a variety of classes for all experience levels, with reformers, towers, stability chairs, mats, and more to give you the most elevated workout experience. Book now at powerhousepilatessc.com and follow them on Instagram at powerhousepilates_sc. Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Coop, the show that celebrates the past and present sung and unsung legends of USC athletics. I'm your host, Olivia Thompson, and today I am joined by a very sung guest, a very special guest, a pioneer to the dynasty that is now USC athletics, USC women's basketball, I should say, Gamecock legend and WNBA player, Tiffany Mitchell. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Liv.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you on. It means a lot that you were willing to do this all the way in Israel. How are things going over there?
We're at the end of our season, starting playoffs tomorrow with a 5-game series. And depending on how that goes, determines my next couple of weeks. So, just trying to finish strong.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before the show, and you said that depending on how y'all do, you could be there for a month now. I mean, that's a grueling schedule that you're on. What's that been like for you?
It's tough, especially because, training camp is within the next 3-4 weeks as well. So like I said, depending on how we do here, kind of changes my preparation when it comes to camp. So I could either just go in and not have any time, in between a season and going straight to the next W season. Or I can have, a week or so to be at home for a little bit, reset, and then go to camp. So everything's kind of up in the air. You kind of just got to roll with the punches at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I read somewhere you've played every off season overseas. Is that true?
For the most part, if I wasn't injured, most of the time I went overseas. Last year was the first year I didn't do a full season. I played a month in Turkey, and then I came home and played in Athletes Unlimited. So went back again this year, just because of how everything ended, my last W season, to just, show that I was healthy and able to play and stuff like that. So I'm back, but this probably might be it again. Not a fan.
Oh my God.
Honestly, not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, you put your body to the test, and I mean, the work ethic that you have. I mean, I know that's something that's very commonly talked about when people mention your name is how hard you work and what you put your body through, and your dedication to health and wellness and fitness. But I mean, playing a whole WNBA season, then jumping straight into off-season overseas basketball, it's tough work. So what preparation do you do for your body to be able to withstand that amount of competition?
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I said, the times that I haven't gone was because of some type of injury or something that was holding me back. So, you do put your body on the line a lot. And what comes with that is, possible injury because of just there's an overwork and load aspect of it that people overlook. We really have no downtime. We have no break, to actually take care of our bodies. So for me, I try to just, have the mindset of, training over training in the off season, the little parts that I do good. So when I do have that time on the court, the work doesn't feel as much to me. So the little time that I do have to kind of like reset and, actually work out and take care of my body, I try to do a little more than what I probably would be doing, like in season.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot. And especially when you're someone who works as hard as you do, like you mentioned, there is a risk for overworking that leads to injuries and flare ups in areas that can happen just from overuse. Mm. So when did you kind of start getting into a groove of like, okay, this is what I need to do this? And like with someone who is passionate as you are, it's hard not to go the distance in that way. So like, when did you kind of get into a groove of knowing your limit and knowing when too much is too much?
Yeah, probably just my first year overseas. Like you said, like for me, I always train. I didn't realize how important, rest is just as important as, being in the gym a lot, taking care of your body, sleeping, eating right, like all of those play a part into, just putting the ball in the basket. Like those are little things that I feel like, players overlook, just that recovery aspect. It goes a long way. So unfortunately, I had injuries that, probably were due to me just overworking, and I just never gave my body, a rest. So I had to learn the hard way, had to sit down, had to, sit back, and, God's going to sit you down one way or the other. And that's the route that he took for me. So I was able to realize, my body needed certain things. I want to play at a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. So you learn those things, going overseas, and having that time to yourself to kind of just, figure out who you are, figure out what type of player you want to be, because there's just so much downtime over here. Your mind can go everywhere. So for me, I just took the route of just learning what makes me happy, what kind of makes me tick and go while I'm on the court. Fortunately, I've been able to figure that out and figured out what worked for me.
Yeah, you definitely have. And I mean, with all that knowledge you've accumulated, you have wanted to share it with other people. I want to talk about Tiff Fit a little bit. I saw that you used the hashtag Tiff Fit in 2022, and then you launched your Instagram Tiff Fit as an entity in 2023. Mm-hmm. What sort of work behind the scenes went into that to bring that vision to life?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was kind of just always, fitness girlies, even since college. I just always loved being able to kind of like manipulate my body and see, gain weight, lose weight, like what things worked for me, what didn't. And, it went as far as like just helping my friends out, my family, making them workouts, trying to see like they want to lose weight. I'm like, I kind of figure out and I have an idea, of how to do it, but I never had like the actual knowledge behind it. It's like from just the experience of being that person and doing it. So I got certified 2 years ago by NASM to be a personal trainer. So I took the exam, passed that to be able to, help other people out and kind of like just give that joy that it brings me, just feeling good, looking good. I think everybody wants to do that. So the fact that I'm able to kind of, give that knowledge back to them and kind of help them see like, health and nutrition is something that's going to take you a long way, not just, being a basketball player and being an athlete. I just wanted them to kind of realize, like just taking care of yourself, how much it'll improve your emotional, your mental, your physical and everything. So yeah, I've been online training for 2 years now. Still working with clients online during the season while I'm overseas. Wow. So it's been fun. I meet a lot of different type of people. I actually don't work with any athletes at all, like maybe one or two. But I work with pretty much your everyday person that, wants to change their habits and their lifestyle and just get healthy.
That's really cool. I mean, seeing you talking about it, like that's a big smile. So this is clearly something that you're very passionate about and love doing. And you can see like you're reaching people and they really respect you, and it means a lot to them that you want to take this initiative, because a lot of athletes who end up training are in that athlete mindset and connect better with other athletes, it kind of takes another level of expertise to be able to reach just everyday people, like you said. So that's really commendable. But of course. And in your Instagram bio, it says that you're targeting new mothers who want to boost their metabolism and lose baby weight. What's your inspiration for that? Is that personal? Is that a personal connection for you, or is that just something that spoke to you?
Definitely not personal yet. I have no children except my dog. But
I knew it wasn't personal in that way. But I didn't know if there was like someone close in your family who you had helped that kind of kickstarted that motivation to go in that direction.
Just from when I started, I felt like those were the type of clients that kind of just gravitated towards me. There's a lot of people, like I said, just older women that work. They usually have kids that are just looking for some type of guidance on how to manage and balance, being a mom or, having a career, but still putting yourself first in some aspect and being able to work out and things like that. So my target audience kind of found me. It began just with me being an athlete and, being a professional and, posting stuff about that. And then I had people just reach out that were the complete opposite of that. So I found more joy in it too. I know an athlete, like I said, we're built a little different and, we think a certain way and we're able to conquer different things just because of being an athlete. And I feel like, being able to talk to someone who hasn't really had that mindset of like wanting to be better and want to be, good at your sport and just your everyday person, just wanting to actually just be healthy, change their habits. I felt the most joy in helping those type of people and end up just being moms, that just had babies and, trying to figure out their way again, losing that baby weight, who just need the guidance and, the accountability from someone like myself. So I feel like my target audience kind of found me.
That's very cool. Cool. I'm sure it does mean a whole lot to be able to impact people like that who aren't, and this is not in a disrespectful way, but not at your level of athleticism, but are striving to be there and just better themselves in that way. So that's really special. But I mean, at the same time, that can be a lot to manage those relationships and being a personal trainer in that way, while also being a professional athlete. How do you balance being a professional athlete while being a personal trainer?
Time management, you kind of compartmentalize, I think that's the word. When you have,
Coach Staley loved that word. Yeah.
I love that word because you have to. And I take it back all the way there when, there's certain things that I want to do in school, like being in a sorority and like having that, but also still playing for, the top team in the country and like just having to figure out, still be on your schoolwork, still want to have a social life. So it's like, I've been able to do that, throughout my whole life, which has been putting me in a position to be able to just do stuff that I want, because I'm just able to manage my time well. I give everything its own space. I set out, I have a planner. I write down everything that I need to do for the day. If I have certain phone calls, if I have, certain meetings, if I have to check in with this client, and especially have to do it over here being, 6-7 hours ahead of people. Sometimes it's hard because I'm like, I have to stay up, sometimes 1-2 o'clock in the morning just because I have a phone call with the client that's like at, a regular time during the day, like a 2 p.m. So I know that, and I knew that going forward. You just have to have systems as well kind of set up for you. I've been able to build out my system over the past 2 years where, there are some things, once you submit, an application or something, like you do get an automated text or whatever, but I also see when I wake up. So it's like things like that, I'd be able to build out to kind of help me along the way and make it a little easier to still get my work done on the court, but also still, be there for my clients too.
Wow. That's dedication right there.
It's fun. So, I mean, when you're doing things that you like, it really doesn't seem like a burden or like work or stuff for me. Like, I'm just like, okay, cool. I have this, I have to knock this out. I have to do this, I have to do that, because I mean, I enjoy it. So I never really look at it as like, dang, I gotta wake up,
Right. Cause Because you love it, like you said, because you love it, and it's something that gets you motivated. And I mean, I bet seeing people's growth and progress is just super inspiring to you, being able to see the impact and their dedication to wanting to continue their journey. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you found an avenue, even though it's something you've really been doing your whole life. I'm just glad you've been able to touch people in that way and spread your knowledge like that. But as far as your personal training career goes, where do you want to see Tiff Fit go? What's your goals?
Yeah. Right now, like I said, it's online. So it started as just wanting to like work in a gym. I've had ideas of wanting to own a gym, work in a gym. But I knew the first step of that was just for me to, have all of my certifications and be certified to even do it. Even though I do have the experience of just being an athlete and being in the gym a lot, I wanted that other part to kind of pair with it. But right now it's still traveling and still playing. It's hard to kind of, just be in one place, which is why I moved the, company to online fitness and training, and stuff like that. But, when I'm done playing, honestly, who knows? Like I have so many different directions that I could go with Tiff Fit. Like I said, I could open up my own gym or studio or, work in a gym and have certain clients, that way, in person. But I have so many different directions and ideas that I feel like I want to do, but it can't really be done until I'm probably done playing.
I gotcha. Well, how much longer would you like to be in the WNBA?
As long as they pay me to do my job, I'm gonna be there. So I'm gonna make the most out of every year. I don't think I'll be a Diana Taurasi and playing when I'm 40 something years old.
She's definitely
don't think that'll be me. But the next 3-4 years is definitely still on the table for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you're even more excited. You're about to be reunited with Asia playing for the Aces. How exciting is that? How do you feel about that?
It's cool. Like I said, I haven't played with Asia since college, and just seeing her growth from college and the Asia she is now versus the Asia she was in college. I'm so excited to be a part of, this side of her and this part of her career, and just, team up with her in Vegas and hopefully bring a championship home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very exciting. I mean, I think Ty and Kiki played together for a little bit, but it's really cool to see teammates who played together in college, which at this point, that was 10 years ago now. And then 10 years later, now y'all are reunited on the same WNBA team and you're both achieving great things. And I mean, it's a very dominant program. So I'm excited to see what happens this year. I bet you are too.
Me too.
Yeah. So before we talk about USC anymore and what you're doing now, I want to take it all the way back to the beginning when you first started playing basketball or were introduced to sports. Who got you going in the direction of basketball, and was that your first love? I
would give it to my brother. I joke with him sometimes and give it to somebody else, but I'm gonna give it to my brother because I was that little sister, kind of just growing up, wanting to follow my brother around, do everything that he was doing. Like basically, I was trying to be attached to his hip. He played every sport, and I was just kind of just the sister that was there at his game. So outside of basketball, I ran track, but I was very much just a kid that had a bunch of energy who did not know how to use it. So I would try different things in sports and just end up just quitting because my attention span wasn't there. Like nothing really caught my attention. I went to go hang out with my friends and make friends. Like that was me. I was a social bug. I could care less about the sport. As long as my friends was there, I was like, I want to go. So I think once I started playing on my brother's AAU team, and not AAU team, it was like more of a park and rec team where, a girl could play on the boys team. So that's kind of how I started. And I liked it. Like, I don't know, maybe I just liked the competitive aspect of it, just competing against the guys and seeing how much, better they were than me. I felt like it gave me a challenge to want to like do something to beat them and even also beat my brother. So, I kind of just fell in love with basketball from there and him coming home with all these trophies and winning stuff. And I'm like, how does he get all these trophies and I have nothing? My mom's like, well, he plays basketball, this and that. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna play basketball too. Like I want a trophy. I want to win. So I think just my love of wanting to be a winner, my competitive aspect when I was just such a young age, translated into me, being here now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, aside from your competitive spirit, like I said earlier, your work ethic and dedication to the game is something that is very notable about you when they mention your name. Has that always been the case, like when you started playing basketball, or was it something that matured as your seriousness for it developed?
Yeah, I think just like I said, I just wanted to be the best at everything that I did when it came to sports, cooking. Like as soon as somebody put something in front of me and I was like, try to win at it, I'm like, bet I'm gonna do anything possible to try to just to be the best at whatever someone thinks that I can't do. So I think my work ethic has always been there for my whole life. Even watching my mom just growing up, kind of like how I was raised. And, she was a single parent taking care of my brother and myself by herself, looking at her work ethic every day and her being a school teacher, then a principal, and still balancing, me playing a sport, my brother playing a sport, and her literally doing everything possible to make sure like we lived dreams and have the life that we have now. I feel like I had no choice but to work hard, looking at her and seeing how she kind of, navigated her own life. So when I took basketball, once I realized I was pretty good at basketball, I was like, all right, well, now let me like lock in and actually get better.
Yeah, absolutely. When did school start looking at you? When did you notice recruiting?
Probably around sixth grade, something like that. Yeah, I went to this
Wow, that's early. Yeah.
I went to this like Phenom camp in California. There's in San Diego. And I just went because it was an invitation, something like that, one of those little, skills camp where they go and rank all the players. I went off the strength of just wanting to compete, see where I stood out, against some of the best, people at that time at our age group, kind of like the best guards and just people in the country. So yeah, I left the camp and they ranked me the number 1 guard in the camp and the number 2 best player at the camp. So I was like, wow, I was like, all right, well, I guess I can do something. Yeah. I was like, I'll take it. I didn't come in here thinking that I was even that, but I guess from what I showed and in the evaluators, that's what they came up with. So I think that was around like 7th grade. And that's when I just started, getting kind of a bunch of attention just from schools and stuff.
That's really cool. I mean, that is extremely early. Like, yeah, in middle school, I wouldn't have even dreamt of going to a camp like that and getting that sort of recognition. So that's really cool. But at the same time, did it feel like a lot of pressure being like having those eyes on you at such a young age, or was it something you felt kind of built for due to your competitive nature?
Yeah, I think at that time we're still kids. To me, it was still very much fun. It was still very much innocent. Like I just loved basketball. I loved working out. I loved getting better. So I don't feel like that pressure was really there until, you get to high school and now, there's championships and stuff on the line. Like there's colleges that can actually call you. There's just more eyes on you and more attention to you. But I think, like I said, like just my competitive aspect of myself and my work ethic, I never really thought about it too much because I always felt like I was the best prepared every time I stepped on the court. I knew nobody was, working out as much as me, sacrificing as much as me. So when I got on the court, it kind of would just show what I've been doing. When the lights are off, when the lights are on, you'll be able to see what I've been doing because, I feel like I was built for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And when would you say that Coach Staley started to recruit you? When did you notice her at your games, or when did she start calling you? And was she even the coach that recruited you?
Yeah. So I think I want to say South Carolina came into the picture maybe around 10th grade, something like that. And she recruited me, but for sure, Coach McCray, she was heavy on me. I've seen her at all my games, all my AAU games. She made sure that I saw her face anytime, we had any type of AAU tournament and stuff like that. But yeah, South Carolina was kind of around since 9th, 10th grade. I remember tearing my ACL when I was in 10th grade, which is pretty young. At that point, I think it's, what are you, like 15, 16 years old, something like that. And that's when kind of schools kind of, backed away, especially like I said, that's a big injury at such a young age. you don't know how I'm going to respond to it. You don't know if I'm going to be better, if I'm going to be worse. So there are schools that kind of pulled away during that time. And, South Carolina kind of stood around. Coach Daly was still there. She still recruited me. She still was encouraging me through the whole process. So for me, that kind of meant a lot, especially at that young age. Just the loyalty she showed, like, we're going to be here regardless of how you're going to come back. Like, it's just your choice. But we want to make sure, like, like, we still got you. We're still here. So that was amazing to hear when you're, 15, 16 years old.
Hey, everybody. Whether you're tired from tailgating or scoring touchdowns, there's nothing more important than a good night's sleep. It's time to upgrade your sleep at May River Mattress Company, the Low Country's mattress experts. At May River Mattress, not only will you find the top national brands, but you'll have an expert to help guide you through the process in finding that perfect night's sleep. Not to mention, with their low price guarantee, you'll sleep well knowing you're getting the best value in the game. So why settle for anything less than a championship level sleep? Visit MayRiverMattress.com or stop by their local Bluffton showroom today. May River Mattress Company, where the Low Country goes to sleep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That gives you a lot of assurances. And wasn't it not soon after that you ended up committing? Didn't you commit to South Carolina at 16?
Yeah, my junior year. So I was young. I was young.
Yeah,
So after
that's
that,
young.
like I said, yeah. So once I saw that kind of commitment she had to me and my development, and still wanting to, want me to be a part of her process and be a part of, her team at South Carolina, it was a no-brainer, honestly. Like, especially me being in Charlotte and down the street. I know I was close enough to my family, but also, being able to just be guided and led by someone like Dawn, who supported me through everything since I was 15 years old. It was a no-brainer to commit to South Carolina.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool how that worked out like that. I mean, it just speaks to her character that she stuck around and saw something in you and still wanted you despite this injury. I mean, your work ethic is very evident in the way that you approach your life and the game. So I'm sure she saw that and knew that you were going to be fine, that this injury wasn't going to take anything away from who you are as a player. And I mean, that speaks a lot. So yeah, it's awesome that you ended up where you ended up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you got to South Carolina, what was your first impression of the team, and what was that impression, or what was that transition like from high school to college basketball?
Yeah, when I first got there, again, I kind of just come into situations with an open mind, just like I said, trying to just get better, try to learn from people ahead of me. Like, I don't even think I committed first, I think, in my class, but I don't even think I was the highest ranked player in my class when I committed to South Carolina. So, I never knew how it was going to go. I didn't go in there thinking I was better than everybody and this and that. Like, I knew there was going to be time where I just had to, work and get better. There was players that are older than me. There's players that are same age as me that, kind of had a one up just from being ranked higher, and probably just more eyes on them. So there's more kind of talk about what they're able to do. So when I got there, it was just like a clean slate. I just put my head down and got to work. So I think my freshman year, I ended up starting. And again, I had no idea like that was something I was going to come in and do. Did I want to? Of course, coming from high school and playing a lot there, but you never know, how that goes when, you're a freshman in college and starting all the way over. So those are kind of what summer workouts are for. I love the summer workouts. Like I said, I was down the street, so I was still close to my home. But I also didn't go home a lot. Like, I made sure I stayed on campus, and I just worked out all the time. I just stayed in the gym as much as possible, especially when you're, incoming freshman. You have those summer sessions anyways. So I just made sure I took, sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad.
Man, yeah.
You know how they go.
Oh, yeah.
But I took advantage of those. And I took that as time to kind of just get ahead, because I knew the season was going to come and go. And there's not a lot of time in the season to actually, develop. You're just playing a lot. You're practicing. You're not having a lot of time to teach. So, I just took that approach in those summer times, and ended up working out for me just because of I feel like the approach I had prior to seasons even starting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that work ethic, that I hate to keep using that word, but truly, like the effort that you put into your game, it translates to the court just seamlessly. And I mean, as well as with that team, you were a part of those teams that kind of started the legacy that South Carolina is now. Every season that you played, y'all got better and better. You moved it along higher and higher. And that's, y'all were the pioneers for South Carolina's greatness. And when people talk about you a lot, I was talking to Elisa Welch about this on our last episode, and she mentioned multiple times the growth that you had between your freshman and your sophomore year. What sort of work did you put in during that off season, and what goals did you have going into your second year?
Yeah, I think I was just super intentional on what I wanted. I don't think in my head I was like, I'm going to be player of the year next year. I think it just kind of came with what happened during that season. But, when you're in college, you kind of just eating whatever, doing whatever. So I never really cared about any of that stuff because I feel like I always had a fast metabolism. Like I always just felt like I didn't really have to think about how I took care of my body because I just felt like physically it just kind of came naturally to me. So I didn't really take those extra steps and, worry about my nutrition, worry about my recovery, my sleep. I was just hooping, having fun, honestly. And then I think for my freshman year, I kind of saw, what college was and what basketball was going to be. And, it was on me to either make it or break it. From there, like I kind of had the tools in front of me. I think Coach Dawn does a great job of just preparing us for what lies ahead. And it's on us to take advantage of it. And I think that's what I did. Between my freshman year into my sophomore year, I changed completely how I ate. And even if people think I was just always strong, always in the weight room since birth, but it's not true. It's not true. It's not true.
Right.
I might have looked like that, but at the same time, like I didn't actually try to do any like that. Kind of just happened. Just
that was just good genetics. Yeah.
Not even genetics. Me and my brother don't look the same at all either. So it's like certain things that I feel like just kind of happened because I just played and worked out so much, but it wasn't like I was actually intentionally trying to do those certain things. My sophomore year, I was. So I think that was the biggest shift for me. Honestly, was my nutrition. I changed that. And of course, now knowing what I know, like your nutrition plays a huge part into just kind of your makeup, your physique, how you look, how you feel. And I saw a complete change in just how I felt on the court based off of how I changed how I ate.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's a very mature realization at that young of an age, because it is hard. I mean, they provide breakfast, lunch, dinner for us. And it's just like,
you just sitting there
all
eating.
sorts of food, literally. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? So when you have that mindset and you actually start to like take notice, like, hey, I need, like, this isn't working for me. Even though my body responds to it well, like it's not projecting me where I want to go. So you taking kind of accountability like that and making those changes. That's a very mature change at such a young of an age, but clearly it paid off well. Your sophomore season, Lisa said she saw astounding growth going into that year. And that's the year that you got the nickname Superwoman. and then you became Player of the Year. So talk to me a little bit about that season and just how you felt as a player. The growth that you saw on the court, changes about your style of play going into from your freshman to the sophomore year, and just what the team felt like as a whole.
Yeah, I think I was just more confident. I felt more prepared. Like I said, I prepared better than most of the people that I was going to play against. So I never felt like I was behind, once I stepped on the court. I always felt like I was a step ahead. And that came with how I felt physically, mentally, just how I approached everything. And I think that kind of just translated, my sophomore year, because I was just so much more prepared than I probably was my freshman year, because I knew, what Coach Staley wanted from me. I knew what type of player I wanted to be. And I just took that information and kind of, just dialed in on it. And I was I wouldn't say like anal, but I was very much like to a T, like almost like military on how I prepared myself, how I thought. Sometimes actually I annoy myself how disciplined I am to a fault, honestly, because I have to make sure I get this done. And then my brain, it doesn't process unless I get it done. So, stay up till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, making sure my work is done just so I can be able to sleep a little longer in the morning before practice, because I know I want to come in and shoot before, classes start, stuff like that. So, I would say I'm very much like OCD when it comes to certain things, and my discipline is sometimes, now that I'm older, it sometimes gets on my nerves how much I want everything to be a certain way.
Yeah, you've had that professional mindset since early college, really. I mean, a lot of people, it takes a long time for that to develop, but you've had that from a young age. Whether we can blame it on OCD or not.
It's a little bit. See my closet, you should see my refrigerator. Everything is to a T.
Really?
I can get dressed in the dark.
Wow. That's you have your clothes laid out, everything's where it's supposed to be. I don't need to see anything. It's right there. That's
right there.
That's pretty funny. And then, I mean, just continuing that growth from a team aspect, y'all made it to the Final Four your junior year, right?
Yep.
I saw in an interview recently, and I'm going to steal the question because I thought it was really good. Mingo Martin asked Coach, let me refer to it real quick because it was really good. I don't want to mess this up.
I got you.
Let me find this real quick. So he said 10 years ago, the team made it to their first Final Four in Tampa. Here they are now striving for that same thing. What do you remember about making it to the Final Four the first time in that Elite Eight game?
Yeah, honestly, it felt like a movie. Like, it literally was a movie. We were on like cloud nine, honestly. Like, I was just going game by game. There was no expectations on us, which made it a lot easier, to play that way. No one thought South Carolina would even be in that position based on the teams that were kind of ranked before us in this position that we were in. So, honestly, I just felt like everything was like a dream. And I just never wanted the dream to be over. So I remember when we lost, they had to like literally peel me from the court. Like, I was devastated. Like, I remember I just like dropped to my knees. Like, I'm like, I can't believe like everything is over now. But like during that run and that stretch, like there's just so many games and people that, stepped up as well outside of myself. I know Coach Daly always trusted me at the end of the game, would have the ball in my hands to make the right decision. So just knowing, her confidence that she had in me made it a lot easier for me to even want to take that shot or make that pass or make that, last second decision. So just that run to the Final Four, it was so surreal. I remember that North Carolina game where Olivia, like, she shot and the ball, like, she shot a corner three and the ball like hit the side of the goal, the backboard, and then went in. So,
what?
Right. So it's like, if you saw the shot, you would thought like, oh, this like an air ball.
Yeah.
Ooh, went right in. So it's like, it's like, oh my God. Like, it's just like little things like that where I'm like, we're supposed to win. Like, and it got to that, like after stuff like that happens and shots like that go in, now, like, we belong. So it wasn't we're just happy to be here when we got to Tampa. It was like, we can actually win this thing for real. And I know that, everybody in our locker room believed that. There were so many people that on the outside that didn't, but, it only takes the people that are putting those jerseys on, the people that are coaching us, our own families that are supporting us that know, like, this is all the support we need to, get us over the top. So, like I said, unfortunately, we fell short at the end, but it was an amazing, amazing run, amazing feeling that whole time. And yeah, it's one of my best, memories of college for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you were on that team, that foundational team, making it to the first Final Four. That's a huge deal. And I mean, now I have lost track of what Final Four we're at now.
Yeah.
But I
don't know either.
but that's just a testament to that team and that run that y'all had and the players that y'all brought in and the dedication y'all had, because y'all were slept on. You were an underrated group of people. Y'all had a lot of talent. You had a great staff, and y'all were still slept on. And I mean, now, who's sleeping now?
Exactly. But, they still try to find a way to sleep, but
they do. They're not gonna.
Somehow, some way, people still sleeping. But
I know they're not gonna try and stop either. But that's okay, because that makes us better. That gives us some motivation. But I mean, during your time there, aside from yourself, you saw some major key component players come in. Asia Wilson, Elena Coates, Kayla Davis, Alicia Gray. What was it like seeing South Carolina grow during your 4 years there?
It was great, honestly. Like I said, Lisa talks about me and my jump from freshman year to sophomore year, but it's the same when it comes to like Asia, when it comes to Elena. Seeing them their freshman year and like the confidence they were playing with, the leader that Asia became, by the time we graduated, and just seeing how vocal she was, and knowing when she first came, she barely spoke at all. She always went home. So it's like she was still very much like, oh, like I'm still in high school type of thing. I'm like, I still want to be around my parents. But at the same time, like seeing her growth and how she kind of, put South Carolina on her back, once we graduated, it's amazing. And even to see her growth now, still at this being the best player in the world, honestly, is crazy to me. And same with Lay, like she dealt with a lot in college, having injuries as well too. So her being able to keep pushing and, being drafted and still having her career in the W, just says a lot about kind of how Coach Staley prepares, her players. And I think, like I said, with me, she instills that confidence into you to want to be the best version of yourself and to get the most out of every situation. I think, Asia, Lay, Leash, Kayla, they've all put themselves in positions to be successful. And Coach Staley has a lot to do with that, just being under her on a day-to-day basis. And having someone who cares so much about you outside of basketball does wonders for your brain and your mind. So, yeah, I'm just happy for them, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you talk about your relationship with Coach Staley, she calls you her firstborn at South Carolina. What does receiving that title for her mean to you? Yeah,
I mean, the trust that I put in her, to guide me my 4 years at school, I think the same went for her. She trusted me to be that player for her. We had a lot of conversations. I could just go into her office and just sit there and just talk. And half the time it's not about basketball. So I think for me, that was the biggest part. Like I said, me being already so hard on myself and an overthinker, she knew she didn't need to do that part for me. She knew I was going to take care of that myself. She knew, if I missed a shot or had a bad game, I was already in my own mind about those things. So I think she took the route of more so just telling me and encouraging me that, everything is fine. Everything's going to be cool. And that's the route that I liked. She knew how to get the best out of her players. She saw me bigger than just a basketball player. And I think that meant a lot for me. Family is important to me. And it felt like an extension of my own mom, just kind of sitting down and having those real life talks with you. And, when you feel that comfortable in a place, there's only good things that can come from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to have that sort of a relationship with her as a player is very special, but the relationships that you have with Coach Staley, they only grow once you graduate and evolve more as a person. And you get a different side of her once you graduate and you move on to that level. So how has your relationship with her evolved since you've graduated and been at the professional level?
Yeah, I mean, now like I'm an adult. So, some of those conversations where it's just like player coach type of conversations. And, we got to talk about things that were deep. But like now that I graduated, I don't have to be in school every day. She's not my coach anymore. I think it just, grows and evolves, like you said, to just something even bigger, just kind of on a day-to-day and life standpoint. She just wants me to do well in life, whatever. Even if I didn't play basketball again, I knew that Coach Staley would be somebody I would always have in my corner, supporting me whenever I needed her to. So, I know I can hit her up for anything and talk to her about anything. She's always been there for me since I've graduated. So that relationship is something that I cherish and hold close to my heart because, like I said, she's kind of shaped in a form, how I think and how I would navigate life in general now.
Yeah, absolutely. She does have a major impact on anyone whose life we're lucky enough to be in her life. So being able to have these close relationships with her is very special. And she's definitely someone you want in your corner. Recently you had your jersey retired and you were the first player to get your jersey retired under Coach Staley. What was that like? What were some of the emotions that you were experiencing during that time? Coming back to Columbia, home is where the heart is. You got to reunite with former teammates, your coaches, friends, family. What were some of the emotions of that experience and having her want to honor you in that way?
Yeah, it's just the ultimate sign of respect to me. I think it shows what I meant to her, what I meant to the program. So I'm just lucky enough that the school and herself decided to give me that honor, because there's not being the first in her era, just says a lot. And like I said, kind of just shows to and a testament to our relationship and what she feels like I meant to her in the program, and just kind of where the program is at now. A lot of it couldn't have been done if we didn't trust each other in this situation. Because, when I did commit to South Carolina, it wasn't the South Carolina it is today. So it was more so just a trusting, and I had to walk in my faith when it came to her, because I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't think South Carolina would be this at all when I committed. But I knew I just wanted to leave it better than when I got there. And all of this is what ended up happening and coming from it. So I'm just extremely thankful that, I was able to receive my flowers and receive my honors from them in the school. And it's just a special feeling, those emotions during that time was, I was just trying to take it all in. It was so many people, so many things going on. I don't think I really could process it. But now that I had some time for it to be up there for a little bit, now I got a Jersey buddy hanging with me. It's pretty cool to see both of us up there. So it's great.
It is very cool. And I mean, to be the first member of that company, of that elite company, is very cool. I'm very excited to see who else is going to follow you. You in Asia, I should say now. So it's very special to have a coach see you and recognize you in that way. 'Cause like you said, you just wanted to put your head down and play and be the best you could be and win. But you ended up sparking a program to become this level of dominance and greatness. So it's really cool. And you're very humble, but it's a huge honor to be in your position. So that's very cool. And
Thanks,
I mean, of course. And then transitioning into the WNBA, you started your career off at the Indiana Fever. What was that transition like for you from college basketball to the WNBA?
Some people, they have horror stories, coming from college and being drafted, because knowing that turnaround, like even the kids now, they have probably that's playing in the Final Four, like I said, like 2-3 weeks before camp even starts. The ones that are being drafted, you got to go straight to camp. So there's not a lot of downtime in between. So that's why the school that you choose is just as important as, other things, because you have to be prepared. And I think Coach Staley does a great job of making sure her players are at least prepared for those opportunities when it comes to the W. And I think I was put in the best position possible when I was a rookie. I was drafted 9. There was up and down talks about where I would go, and I think it's all about, placement and fit when it comes to where you're drafted, and not necessarily the number that you're drafted, because I could have very much easily been drafted number 5 and been on team and didn't see the court, the whole season. So Indiana put me in a position I played very early in my career, and I played a lot. So, sometimes people don't get those opportunities until your 3rd, 4th year where you're actually playing good minutes. And I've been fortunate to play good minutes since I entered the league, and being on Indiana and being on a team full of vets. And I think that's what helped me the most. I was the only rookie when I got drafted. And
really?
Wow. Yeah, it was crazy, because I'm the youngest here by 4 or 5 years. So I'm just kind of there. I'm chilling. Yeah. I'm on vibe, just just learning. I'm
right.
I get my rep or 2 in, and then I just go back to the side, and then I just go back and watch,
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, when you're making that transition, honestly, that's a good place to be able to absorb all that knowledge and be a sponge to these people who have much more experience than you do. And I mean, clearly that position you were put in propelled you further in your career, with you getting a lot of playing time as a rookie, and then that just translating into other years. So sounds like it was a good situation for you.
Yeah, it was great. And I had a great time. I had great leaders in front of me. And I think that also makes a difference, where you're drafted, but also who's there in front of you, who's there helping you, who's teaching you. Because sometimes you get in situations and it's either pick it up once or you're left behind. And I think they just did a great job making sure that I knew what was going on when I went to the game. And even if I didn't, I heard about it. So it only takes me 1 or 2 times to mess up. And then I'm like, all right, I got it. Like,
yeah.
I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that person and that rookie where it's like, oh, we put her in the game and something bad is going to happen. So.
Right. She's either got like 2 fouls in 2 minutes or like she doesn't remember the plays. Like, yeah.
I'm like, I can't be that guy. So I'm like, let me come in at least either, be even kill or make them better for the time that I'm out there. And yeah, my rookie year was great. So I'm definitely fortunate to have been drafted to Indy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of players don't have that sort of that fortune to be able to have that experience their rookie year. A lot of people gotta really struggle a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hey, but they face a lot of adversity basketball wise their rookie year, but you were hit with some pretty detrimental adversity later in your pro career. You had a battle with sepsis, which is very scary. And what was that diagnosis like for you as someone who prioritizes fitness and health and wellness? I mean, you never expect something like that to happen to you. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think your health, it doesn't discriminate. Like I said, me being one of the more healthier people, I feel like living and something like this happening to me, I would have never expected. It definitely caught me off guard. So it was definitely really scary just because you kind of are fighting a battle that you don't know if you're even going to win. But, just talking to the doctors and them telling me like pretty much the only reason I survived was because I was already pretty healthy. My body went through a lot. I lost an extreme amount of weight. I had to kind of learn how to stand and walk and use my core all over again. I had, probably 8 different types of surgeries to make sure like the bacteria and everything was out of my system before I was able to leave the hospital. So it was a lot. It was very draining mentally, clearly physically, emotionally. I had to learn how to kind of deal with everyday life again. I mean, and it's ongoing things that still happen. Even while I'm over here, I'm able to, see some lingering, effects that could happen from sepsis. But I'm just fortunate that I was able to kind of push through those times and have people in my corner, making sure that I stayed strong in that situation, knowing that, like I said, it could have went right or left. And just having the support and praying and my faith and just kind of leaving it up to God is kind of what pushed me through and being able to still play right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's a tough journey back, even for someone as healthy as you are. You mentioned that you lost a lot of weight. And I mean, it looks like you're at full strength now, but you did say that you're still dealing with some lingering effects. How long did it take you to bounce back from that and get back to a level where you're able to compete and feel healthy enough to get back out there and do what you love?
Yeah, honestly, it's a miracle. Literally, I think people felt like once I got the diagnosis of sepsis, and when you hear sepsis, it's life threatening. Like a lot of people don't survive having sepsis. Right. So when it came to just surviving it, it was another whole mindset when it came to like, am I going to play again? So I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm able to live, honestly.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let alone go back and play at the highest level. I knew it would take a different amount of focus and strength and determination. Like I said, I've had injuries before, but this is something that's completely different mentally because when you're injured, there's something that you're fixing. With this, once the, infection was gone, I'm having just to rebuild myself from zero, basically. Like I haven't been that small after surgeries and everything since I was maybe I don't even know, maybe
right
9th grade. Literally, I was never that small. Yeah. So it was a lot for me, and it's still kind of like traumatic in a sense because of having to just think of where I was and what I had to go through to get back to where I am now. Just having to eat a whole lot, gain all this weight back, gain all this muscle back, just to be able to even feel comfortable on the court. I wasn't going to put myself out there unless I felt ready and confident enough just with my body. So I came back pretty fast. I came back in 2 months, I think. once I got cleared.
Damn.
I know something's wrong. I guess I'm not human, but
no, you're not.
I think I got cleared in September to kind of go back with the team in Connecticut. And then from there, I kind of just, again, put my head down and locked in on, I wouldn't even say it's like rehab, but I guess it is, because I'm having to just retrain my body. I'm just running, I'm lifting, I'm eating. Like I'm literally like on a schedule of like how much I need to be eating, how I need to gain weight. And even that in itself is draining, and having to be around basketball and not being able to play. Also, that was hard, just being around my team. But I think they helped me. I think they put the life that I lost when I was in the hospital back into me, when I was able to kind of just see them, every day. So I think just being around them definitely, helped my process. And then once the season was over, I was able to kind of take it up a notch. And I didn't know if I was going to go overseas this year. I just had to wait and see how my body felt. And yeah, I felt good enough to come play, and here we are.
Here we are. Wow. Yeah. That's an amazing journey, and a testament to your dedication and what you see in yourself. And I mean, where you want to be, like you said, it's a life-threatening infection. And being able to come out on the other side of that and be where you are now is truly amazing. So I'm very happy for you. I'm very sorry that you went through that. That's not easy at all. That's very horrible. But seeing you now and seeing how healthy you are and the things that you're doing and accomplishing makes me very happy to see. And I'm excited to see where you go from here. I'm very excited to see you play for the Aces this year. I know you are too. And yeah, I mean, I hope the rest of your career overseas goes well this season. Sure. I hope y'all do well in the playoffs, but I do hope you get a little bit of downtime for the season though, because before training camp starts, that's no joke.
Too hard. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So before we end the show, I want to ask you two questions. One is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received, or a piece of advice you would like to share?
Best piece of advice. I've had a lot of advice. Let me think. I would say control the controllables. I think that's something that's pretty self-explanatory, but there's a lot of times in life, and especially after my experiences, where it's like certain things that, might have bothered me before I got sick and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me anymore. I can't control it. It's out of my control. So I think just controlling the controllables, like, you only can control what's in front of you. And instead of kind of worrying yourself or doubting yourself about something that, is out of your control, it's going to make it even worse. So I think just having that piece of advice that was told to me, I don't remember when, but, it made a lot of sense when it was told to me, because I'm like, you're right. Like, why am I stressing about this situation? And actually, I have no control over it. So I'm just going to control, what I can control and, hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very good advice. And I mean, when you're able to separate from situations that are out of your hands, it makes the things that are in your control a lot easier to tackle. The second question is, if you weren't a basketball player, what would you be doing?
Well, that's easy. Well,
right. For you, it's easy.
That's easy. If you ask me like what sport, another sport that I would play, or like what I would be, if I wasn't playing basketball, honestly, my ideal life, if I wasn't playing basketball at all, I would be just a girl that wakes up, go get some iced coffee, walk my dog, go to yoga or Pilates, make a little bit of fitness content, maybe own a Pilates studio or something like that. And I'm just chilling with some like matcha, walking my dog.
Yeah, there you go. A slow life.
Very slow, very soft girl era. That would be me.
Well, I think you can definitely achieve that once your basketball career is over. It sounds like you've got it all planned out. Yeah. Exactly. Well, Tiffany, it's been very nice having you on and talking to you about your journey. I'm very excited to see how the rest of your overseas season ends and your career with the Aces now. So thank you for being on. I appreciate you a lot, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Of course. Thank you, Liv.
Yeah, thank you. All right. This has been another episode of The Coop. Thank you guys very much.